good morning. You're watching the F&O Show on Bloomberg Quint Live, India's first digital live streaming business news service. I'm Navneet Saluja D'Souza.
Good morning, Navneet. I'm Agam Akil, and here are the top headlines of this hour. Another record opening for Nifty and the Bank Nifty. India week cools off for the third straight day. But banking stocks are in focus today. Yes Bank, HDFC Bank, IndusInd Bank, SBI, ICICI and Axis Bank gain more than 1% ahead of the Nifty Bank weekly expiry. An open interest in Mindtree surges more than 25% after the company reports a strong set of numbers in the third quarter. And Bharti Airtel, Yes Bank, Adani Ports and Ultratech are the big earnings that you have to watch out for on today's day of trade. And Bharti Infratel is a top Nifty loser after the third quarter profit missed analyst estimates, and the company projects a very bleak future.
All right, let's take a look as to what's happening with the markets. As Agam highlighted in the headlines, it's another record levels for both Nifty, Bank Nifty, and also let's include Sensex there. Let's just pull up the Nifty futures and see whether there is any sort of premium right now or not. So 10,865, I'm sure now people will be looking out for the 10,900 level on that. But 15 points discount on the futures. That's telling you something if the markets are overheated at these levels or not. OI build up only about 1%, and let's also pull up the Bank Nifty futures, which have been going from strength to strength. Yesterday, they crossed the resistance mark of 26,200, and today at the opening level itself, it crossed the 26,500 mark. And also remember, today is the day for the Bank Nifty weekly options contracts to expire, and the Bank Nifty January futures currently trade with a discount of almost 70 points. Well, this could just be the best weekly expiry since May 25th, 2017. Remember, on that weekly expiry, Bank Nifty gained almost 2.9% that day, and currently we're seeing 2% gains coming up there. However, if you look at the open interest concentration for this week, it was at about 26,000 to 26,500, but the index is firmly trading above that mark. So let's see where the expiry takes place. But the next resistance definitely comes around the mark of 27,000, but a strong support for the index now lies around the mark of 26,000. And clearly, it is the day for Bank Nifty where both the private as well as the PSU banking space has been doing pretty well. Let's look at the Nifty option strikes and what's happening there. Clearly, the call writers since 2 days now have been running for cover. So if you look at call strikes like 10,700, 750, or for that matter, even the 10,800 call strike, all of them have seen unwinding today. And clearly, the put writers will be happy pocketing that premium because the premiums have collapsed sharply for the second straight day. And in fact, in today's session, we've seen put writing also coming for strikes like 10,800 as well as the 10,900. What are the institutions doing? Well, Agam, we've been highlighting this. The FIs were taking bullish bets on the index options front. They were buying a lot of calls and writing puts in the last 3 to 4 sessions. So clearly, that sort of positioning has worked out well for them because the index is now trading once again at record high levels.
Right. Well, you know, Navneet, I was just heartened to see that we've seen so much writing in the 10,700 put, but I'm going to pull up the list of stocks which have seen a substantial surge in open interest, and right at the top is Mindtree. 36% increase, whereas the underlying moving up by as much as 8%. This is on account of really strong earnings for the third quarter gone by for Mindtree and longs building in there. That's followed by DCB Bank. Again, well, we have shorts in this case, DCB Bank, so weakness steeping in there. Wockhardt looking at 3% gains, longs there, along with HDFC and ICICI Bank. There's a lot of traction in not just the PSU banks where we saw yesterday, but also private sector financials looking at a substantial gains and longs building into. On the losing end with respect to the open interest, we have unwinding in Karnataka Bank. Hexaware Technologies looks at 3% declines, followed by HDIL, Ujjivan Financial and SREI Infra. Not too much to speak for there except for Karnataka Bank. But again, it is going to the banking pack which is going to remain in focus, considering we have seen so much in terms of open interest build up as well in today's trade, Navneet.
Well, before we proceed, I just want to pull out the intraday chart of India Volatility Index. If you could just pull up that. Remember, just at the opening levels, India VIX fell by almost 8 to 9%. So the day's low level is somewhere about 11.6. And from those levels, as you can see, we had a gap down opening for India VIX, but currently it's just about trading flattish, or now actually it's trading with gains. So it's back above the mark of 14 after hitting the day's low mark of 11.6. That's telling you something, and we'll ask our experts about what does this mean, the kind of volatility that one has seen for the India VIX in today's trade. But before we get our guest on the show, here's a reminder. If you have any queries in the futures and options market, you can call us now on 022-4540-4141. Or you can also write to us on our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook with AskPQ hashtag. All right, then, let's welcome our F&O experts for the day. Gaurav Bissa of LKP Securities and Ashish Chaturmohta of Sanctum Wealth joins us on the show. Good morning to both of you, gentlemen, and appreciate you joining us today on Bloomberg Quinn. Ashish, let me come to you first. Both the Nifty as well as the Bank Nifty futures are now trading at a discount. You've seen the kind of volatility that we've seen in the intraday chart of India VIX. Tell us at these levels, what should be the strategy now? If somebody had taken a long, should they be booking their profits or trailing stop losses?
Good morning, Navneet. So, definitely the trend is on the upside. But if you ask me the risk reward, it's not that favorable, and the volatility is going to be a key concern. Apart from volatility, one thing which one should be very, very mindful should be the put call ratio,
correct,
which is trading at around 1.75, 1.80, which is a historic, 2012. After 2012, we are witnessing these kind of levels. So it's definitely a overbought market. But can overbought market should be shorted? The answer is clearly no. One has to ride this trend because this overbought market can remain overbought for an extended period of time. Ideally, now I think 10,750 should be the trailing stop loss for your long positions. Now, if someone is a compulsory trader at an index level, then the strategy should be to create a bull call spread or a vanilla call option rather than taking a fresh long bets at the index levels, because the volatility can be so high that 70-80 bucks could be taken out in just a matter of 15-20 minutes. So that kind of volatility might hit your stop loss, and after half an hour you might see again index crossing the previous high.
Just for the benefit of our viewers, we all know that the India VIX moves in the opposite direction of Nifty, but in the last few sessions it's not happened. Actually, it's moving in the same direction. What does that mean? So
last 3-4 months this correlations are not working at all. Right. Now look at the GSEC yields. It were moving from 7.15 point to 7.50, and during that time we saw a rally from 10,000 to 10,700, 800 levels. Right. You saw crude prices moving up from 44 to 64, and aviation stocks were hitting all-time high. Oil marketing companies were hitting all-time high, and the direct play of crude, ONGC and oil, they were not seeing that significant upside. So a lot of these correlations are not working, but definitely it's a matter of concern, because at some point of time this reversals might start happening. So better to take a call on a bull call spread rather than initiating a fresh long positions. And when one should be cautious even with regards to their position sizing, which becomes a very, very important thing, because if you are a derivatives trader and if you are heavily into the markets, any small tick on downside can result into a huge M2M. So better to have limited positions, but that too on the positive side.
All right, so, we are looking at tremendous strength in the benchmark indices, and as you can see on the flashes out there, we've seen TCS exceed the market capitalization of around 5.5 lakh crore rupees. HDFC also crosses the market capitalization of 5 lakh crore rupees. So substantial gains there, and don't forget, these are heavyweights. These are, counters which have a substantial weightage on both the benchmark indices, the Nifty and the Sensex. Partly the reason why we are looking at so much strength in either of these stocks. But, moving in, Gaurav, we have seen so much strength in the benchmarks. What is your view now, considering the volatility index, the Nifty put call ratio, and the Nifty hitting new lifetime highs? Where do you see the benchmarks over the next 3 to 4 sessions now?
Good morning. the data, the momentum is quite astonishing for the reason that we don't see too much of OI action happening. Yesterday, today also, if you just talk that there has not been significant open addition that we have seen today, and for the reason that it opened in the gap up thing for Nifty and Bank Nifty, and people are not comfortable buying aggressively at gap up levels at a time when Bank Nifty and Nifty both are making new lifetime highs since last 2 days. So that is one of the reasons why we're not seeing too much of OI happening. And since it is not seeing too much of OI, I think there is going to be some consolidation. I agree with Ashish for the reason that 10,750 is the immediate support for Nifty. For Bank Nifty, the immediate support is a little bit lower at 26,200, 26,300. So I would not be a buyer. For next 3 to 4 trading sessions, I expect markets to consolidate. We can see a small dip, but overall the range for Nifty would be 10,750 on the lower end, 10,900, 920 on the higher end. For Bank Nifty, it would be 27,000 at the higher end. On the lower end, 26,300 would be the key support levels.
Okay, so that's the view on Nifty. Consensus view actually coming in there that the reward could be now limited, and if you have any sort of long positions, make sure your stop loss should be placed somewhere about 10,750. All right, let's shift focus and get you some option strategies going for the day. Ashish, over to you. What sort of option strategy would you deploy?
So Navneet, as I mentioned, it's time to be on the spread side of the strategy, and whether it could be a Nifty or a Bank Nifty, but definitely at this juncture, Bank Nifty is in a strong uptrend. So I think initiating a long, bull call spread in Bank Nifty makes sense. So one can initiate a 26,800 call option. Long and short 27,200 call option. So the net risk in the strategy would be in a range of 108 points, and the maximum reward could be around 292 points. This is a January series expiry option strategy. So a spread of 26,800 call long and short 27,200 call of Bank Nifty makes sense at this point of time.
All right, Gaurav, how about you? How are you employing options on the benchmark indices?
I'm not too aggressive in Nifty or the Bank Nifty options right now, but if somebody has to take a call or take a trade, compulsive trader, then buying a 10,700 put option in Nifty would make sense. I expect a small dip in Bank Nifty, quoting at 20-21 rupees. One can have a stop loss of 10 rupee, 12 rupee on the upside. 30-35 kind of levels can be seen.
Okay, so those are a couple of your option strategies going on the index, but let's also switch focus and talk about the buzzing stock futures of today. And clearly hogging the limelight are either your earnings reaction counters or it is the financials. So let me start off with Mindtree. A company came out with good set of numbers, margins expansion seen there. It's one of the top F&O gainers for the day. Mindtree January futures, however, traded at a discount, but look at the build up there, 38% higher just 1 hour into trading. Ashish, what would you suggest at 670 time to book profits or stay put?
See, we have been recommending this stock since 550 odd levels, and it is almost up 20-21% from those levels. I think ideally this would be a good time to book some gains, because it's entered into a resistance zone which is around 680-81, and around those levels today's high is being made. So I think till it doesn't crosses this 684-85 decisively, I think it's going to be in a consolidation zone. So better to book some profits at these levels.
All right, Gaurav, my question is going to be a little more broader, and this is to do with the traction that we're seeing in the private banks. Anything that stands out for you that is worth taking a trade into in today's day of trade, say, with the horizon of the next 4 or 5 sessions?
Kotak Bank would be one among the private name that has been consolidating, not doing too much. Stop loss of 1,020, one can play for 1,070 kind of levels. And RBL Bank, it's been doing nothing for last 4 to 5 months. It's been trading in a range. The range has been narrowing down. So stop loss of 5 and 10. One will have to be a little bit more patient. I don't think it's a good stock for 3-4 days, but probably for the series, it can head towards the level of 555, 560. Stop loss of 520, 518 on the upside, 550, 560 levels.
Okay. Your top gainer in Nifty now is UPL. Let's just pull up the intraday chart of that counter. It's trading quite strongly, up almost 3.5%. Remember, UPL was up yesterday as well, with gains of almost 2%. The stock future will just come up on your screen. That's the intraday chart telling you that the stock is currently trading almost at day's high, so it's gaining strength every minute. The stock futures tell you no major build-up, but it's trading at a discount, the January futures. Ashish, would you take a bet on the long side here?
Yeah, I think so, because it's a clear breakout on daily, weekly charts, and if you look at build up, it's consistently on the rising side, and it is one stock which has underperformed the broader indices. And since it's a Nifty 50 stock, I think all this gives a rationale that this stock might see a good amount of upside from these levels. Risk reward is favorable, so use dip till 800 levels to even average your position. 790 should be the stop loss on downside, and 840, 850 could be the positional target in next 1 to 2 weeks in UPL.
All right, I'm going to shift focus to queries now, and we have quite a few, and so, it's no surprise considering we've seen so much traction in the markets. But I'm going to take over the first one from one of our regulars, that's Girish Kumar, and he has a query which addresses you, Ashish. He wants to know what to do with Granules India. He says he is suffering from huge losses, and he has 2 lots of Granules India at 149, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, what can he do with Granules right now?
So hold on to the position, because Granules is one stock which is in a stronger uptrend. Although we have seen some profit booking, but I think it has formed some base around 135, 136, and now ideally 135, 136 should not be breached on downside. If that doesn't happen, I see a strong possibility of stock crossing 150 levels, and once you see a move beyond 150, that will be a clear, decisive weekly, monthly breakout that can take the stock towards 165, 170 zone.
All right, but do you think that these levels can come? There's a possibility of these levels coming before expiry?
I see a good possibility of stock testing at least 145, 147 before expiry.
Okay.
Okay, that's the view coming in there. But let's take some more queries coming in on Facebook, and this one comes from Ashish Yadav, and he's written to us. He's holding TCS 2600 call 5 lots, HDFC 1800 strike call option 5 lots, and Tata Steel 800 call 2 lots. Okay, Ashish, I'm going to take one at a time. Gaurav, I'll come to you on TCS 2600 call strike. What would you suggest him? He's got 5 lots there.
I would suggest that he is already in the money. These are deep in the money options right now. So he's having 5 loss. I think he should book out at least 3 loss at the current price. And with a trailing stop loss of 28.40, 28.45, one can hold on for targets of 20 and 20 can again be seen. That would be the time where he can book the profits. So book half the profits here.
Okay, book partial profits, Ashish, on TCS. What about HDFC, Ashish? 1800 call strike, he has 5 lots. He's not given us the premium amount, but what would you advise? 1800 call strike, and it is pretty much in the money now.
So I think he should book some gains here, because it's in a very strong trend, although and I think this is a good levels to book profits. What I would suggest is book gains in these call options and try to build your position in an out of the money call option of 1950, so that in case if the stock sees some correction from these levels, you will have a minimum losses, whereas in the gains which you are making as of now will be significant enough. So the better idea would be to switch your positions into a 1950 call option.
All right, that's a wise advice coming in from Ashish on HDFC, that book profits and take a position in out of the money strike now. Gaurav, coming back to you, Tata Steel 800 call strike, he's holding 2 lots.
I don't think there's too much of a downside, but then again it has been consolidating. There are multiple resistances. We have seen good amount of writing happening in 780 strike call option. There would be a strong hindrance level for the name. So I would recommend exiting the option at this point in time, because going ahead we'll have a weekend also. So you will have a lot of time value erosion also happening. From the next week, the time value erosion would also be more rampant because the expiry would be there. So I would recommend exiting the position at this point in time.
Okay, so moving on, we have one more query, and this one comes from Ankit Upadhyay. Well, he, if I'm not mistaken, has a position in the cash markets, and from what I understand, he has 400 shares of Aurobindo Pharma at 783. But we're going to take Ankit's query because this is also in the futures and options space. So Ashish, what can he do with his position with respect to Aurobindo Pharma? What kind of traction can you expect, and what can he do?
So, at this point of time, I'm not that too keen on Aurobindo Pharma because, it's in a sideways trend. And I think we are witnessing clearly strength in two stocks in the pharma names, that is Dr. Reddy's and Ajanta Pharma. So, if he can switch his positions into Dr. Reddy's or Ajanta Pharma, that makes sense to me because, it will take a lot of time for Aurobindo Pharma to come out of this consolidation.
Which means that you're suggesting that he book losses in Aurobindo Pharma right now because his entry point is 783 and shift into something better.
So, obviously the losses are good enough, and I think broadly, but it is not showing me strength. So, if I have to follow some technical parameters, I think 635 is a stop loss which I'm going to take into the stock.
All right.
Okay, that's the view in Aurobindo, but even Wockhardt has gone up, Ashish. It's out of the F&O ban also today. Any view there?
So Wockhardt has gone, but it's like playing with fires, and I would definitely avoid it. But if someone is holding on to the position, I think 945 is an important support, and if these support levels are not broken, then 1000 could be the upside target in Wockhardt Pharma. But the volatility is too high, so I would better like to take positions in stock like Dr. Reddy's or Ajanta Pharma.
Okay, we've got more queries coming in. This one comes from Shivu SB on Facebook. Shivu has 500 Idea at 103 and 500 of IDFC Bank at 64, which looks like he's bought at a higher level. Gaurav, a view on Idea at 103, he's bought, and currently the shares are just around the same level, and also IDFC Bank at 64, which currently trades at 61. What would you advise him to do?
Idea, he can hold on some more for the reason that 100 put option has a good concentration, and the long position was seen getting built from 98, 99 levels. It went towards 118 and it retraced back to 100 levels. So I think as long as it is above 100 levels, one can use a stop loss of 99.50 and one can hold on the upside targets of 110 can be seen. So I would recommend holding on to the name.
Okay, we have one more query on YouTube, and this one comes from Archana Motiwala, and she wants to get an advice on the Nifty 10,650 put. And now, Archana, I'm going to assume that you want to buy the 10,650 put. Okay, Gaurav, I'll come back to you on this one. What do you think Archana can do with this position? Would you recommend buying or selling this 10,650 put right now?
I would recommend buying a 10,700 put option. 650 would be even too large because we don't see too much of correction coming in. And as I said, the time value erosion would be quite rampant in next few trading sessions. So one has to be very careful while selecting a strike. So either a 10,750 put option would make sense. I think that can be a good strategy.
Okay, that's the view coming in there, but I will just also remind our viewers that both Ashish and Gaurav have this view that the near-term support for the market is somewhere about 10,750. So if you're holding long positions, you can put your stop losses there and don't be a compulsive trader. That's the view, because we've actually forced them to give an option strategy today on Nifty or Bank Nifty. But that brings us to our next segment, and that is on trading strategies for the day. Ashish, what are you recommending?
So my first recommendation was Jubilant Food, although it has moved up. So what I would like to do is I would like to trail the stop loss level. I think even at current levels one can initiate a long position, but now with a stop loss somewhere around 1945, and with that as a stop loss, I think 2020 could be the target in Jubilant Food. It has seen a build-up of almost 6.5% and trading at an all-time high after seeing a consolidation for last 5 to 6 trading sessions. So that's a good breakout on daily charts. Second bet would be on Dr. Reddy's, which is looking very strong near its 6 months high, and the way consistent open interest has seen addition, I think we might see a good amount of breakout. One can initiate a long, keep a stop around 2480, and 2640 could be the target in Dr. Reddy's in next 3 to 5 trading sessions. My third pick would be in the cement space, which is ACC. Again into a consolidation phase, not seen any strong price volume action, but the kind of open interest addition we are witnessing in the stock, it looks like you might see a good amount of upside in ACC. So one can initiate a long with a stop below 1825, and on upside 1900 could be the target in ACC.
Okay, incidentally, Gaurav also has a long call on Dr. Reddy's, and the targets and stop losses are not very different. Gaurav, why don't you take us through your calls on Dr. Reddy's, and I believe you also have a call on Bharti Airtel futures.
Yeah, Ashish has already given a good amount of data about Dr. Reddy. So the stop loss would still be same 2480, 2620 would be target. It's given a breakout. Yesterday we saw 6% short covering happening, and then today some intraday longs are seen getting built. So data is quite positive. For Bharti Airtel, 490 put option has been seeing good selling. It's been trading it's been giving a strong support, lending a strong support to the name. One can use 492, 493 as a stop loss on the upside. 520 can be seen. Since it will be coming out with the quarterly numbers today, 520 call option would also be a good bet.
Okay, so those are a couple of your trading strategies for the day. I'm just going to take in last query of the day. This has come on YouTube. Saloni Ren Minbi has written to us. Saloni wants a view on PNB futures for the January series expiry. What would you advise, Saloni? Ashish?
So I think it has created a good base now, and on a verge of a strong breakout level, which is around 182, which is the today's high. It made a gap up opening high, and saw some profit booking, but looks like on dips it's a good buy with a stop below 170-250. I think PNB has a potential to test 188-190 zone.
All right, that's the view on PNB, but we've run out of time, so I'm going to thank both our experts, Ashish as well as Gaurav, for taking us through their views and also helping some of our viewers with their queries. But it's a wrap on this edition of the F&O Show. Lots more lined up, so keep watching Bloomberg Quint.